If there's one thing in gaming that definitely isn't even close to being overrated, it's Game Pass. It's one of the few services in gaming that is genuinely worth the money and offers you serious value, unlike most other services available at the moment. But along with Game Pass continuously offering you great deals, there's also a non-stop side effect to Game Pass, and that's the overproduction of Sony Pony Soul, which I personally am very grateful for. I'd quite literally have no video topic for this week, apart from Forspoken, if it weren't for Sony Ponies and their continuous crying over anything Xbox is doing well. And today we'll be taking a look at a video once again poorly attempting to convince everyone that Game Pass is not actually a good deal and that it is overrated. Something the vast majority of people could comprehend isn't true, even if they don't like the proposition of services like Game Pass. So without further delay, I'll let the video play.
Alright y'all, so there's absolutely no reason to own an Xbox Series X right now.
You are literally staring down one of the biggest reasons to get an Xbox in 2021 and then saying there is no reason to get one. All of the reasons as to why you would buy a next gen system of any generational leap are here for both the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Higher frame rates, higher resolutions and new features. There are plenty of reasons to get an Xbox Series X, so long as you stop taking an insane amount of copium to be able to ignore them and deny their existence. The same goes for the PS5. Both current gen consoles have reasons as to why you'd buy them. If you aren't interested in better performance, then continue to play on your Xbox One or PS4 until the games that are releasing can't be run on them, which will be very soon, because last gen games were barely running on the PS4 and Xbox One consoles themselves.
There is absolutely no reason. And I know you're gonna say, well, it's got the Game Pass, but check this out. Let's look at Game Pass, right? Let's look at all the Game Pass games, you know what I mean? Let's check it out. Let's see here. Most of these games right here are old 360 games, or look at these games right here. All of these games either I've played before or they're not that good.
The funniest part about this point he's making is how it's alphabetically sorted in his video, which means any sequels or game franchises from the 360 will be clumped together, obviously making it look like there are far more older games on the service. But as he scrolls through the list later in the video, the number of 360 games quickly shrinks. I'll never understand this logic tons of people use when trying to shit on Game Pass, where they'll say that there are far more bad games on the service than good ones, because you don't pay for Game Pass in order to play the games you don't want to play. You pay for Game Pass in order to play the games you do want to play that are also available on the service. For me, that is a significant amount of games. For you, it may not be, and if that's the case, you don't have to pay for Game Pass. There are plenty of other reasons to get an Xbox Series X. Also, why do PlayStation fanboys always say dumb stuff like the Game Pass? Motherfucker, just say Game Pass. I know it's not a big deal, but it genuinely gets annoying after you hear it 24/7 from people. It's not that hard to form a coherent sentence.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I guess if you've never played any games in the past, you've never ever have, I think it's pretty good, you know, it's a pretty good deal, I guess. But I bought a new system to play new games.
Then go play them. Game Pass has new games on the service, far more than its competition does in fact. Believe it or not, but there are more older games than new games coming out. And so Microsoft will put older games on the service because guess what? People want a large catalogue of games to play when paying for Game Pass. It is impossible to offer that without having a back catalogue of games. Either way, why the fuck do you dislike the fact that the service has more games on it? I swear fanboys will change up the argument about everything every other second. First, Xbox has no games, and now Xbox has too many games because they aren't the ones I specifically want. Shut the fuck up, no one cares. Not everything in the world has to be tailored specifically for you.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of these games, like Gears of War, all of these games, they're pretty good, but they were good back in 2008. You know what I mean? I beat these games already, you know what I mean? GTA 5, everybody has that game. You know what I mean? All of these games right here.
Not everyone has played every game you have played, and Microsoft sure as hell shouldn't remove games from the service just because your ass has played them. What kind of dumbass kindergarten level of entitlement is that logic? Millions of people have not played those games. Not everyone is you, and not everything in the world needs to be handmade for you. If you don't think Game Pass is worth the money, then simply don't pay for it. No one is forcing you to do so. There aren't Game Pass exclusive games. Everything on Game Pass can be bought separately, meaning that if you don't like the service, then simply buy the fucking games. It isn't rocket science.
So, I think Game Pass is honestly overrated, you know what I mean?
You are literally saying Game Pass isn't worth the money while showing how many good games are on the service and how much value it is providing to the average consumer, aka its target audience, and then going, oh, it's overrated. But then again, you are a PlayStation fanboy, so I really shouldn't expect any common sense from you.
Like I said, if you're a person who's never played any games in the past, or you don't care about any quality games, you just want a system to play games, you know what I mean? Game Pass is good, but you don't need a Series X to do that. You can do it on the old Xbox, you know what I mean?
Is this guy Malcolm's long lost cousin or something? I hate it so much when people can't stop repeating the phrase, you know what I mean? Rub two brain cells together and come up with a new way to finish every sentence. And no, you can't play some of the upcoming games arriving on Game Pass using an Xbox One, since they won't be available on that console. A perfect example of this is Stalker 2.
There's absolutely no reason to have a Series X right now. You know what I mean?
Please, for the love of God, come up with a new way to finish your fucking sentences. It is genuinely pissing me off how much you are repeating the phrase, you know what I mean.
And I know a lot of you guys are gonna say, oh, you're a fanboy, you just like PlayStation better because you're a Sony fanboy. Honestly, I got both Xbox and PlayStation. If I hated Xbox, I wouldn't buy one.
Top 10 things every fanboy in existence has said. Just because you own more than one system, it doesn't mean you can't be a fanboy for one. Plenty of Sony ponies own both consoles, simply so when they are shitting on Xbox, they can go, oh, I'm not a fanboy, I own both systems. Even though that logic doesn't at all make sense.
You know what I mean? I'm just being objective right now.
If there is one thing that you have definitely not been doing, it is being objective. Every argument you have made is purely ignorant and entitled. Nothing even close to being able to be considered objective.
With the PS4, I mean, it lacks some good games too. But at least they got the new Demon Souls remake, they got Returnal and Ratchet & Clank. I mean, granted, those games may not be for everyone, but at least they have some games. There's a reason to get a PS5.
Those games in no way, shape or form are worth solely getting a PlayStation 4. Just like it isn't worth getting an Xbox solely for Game Pass. You get the systems for the better performance. Just look at the sales for PlayStation exclusives on the PS4. You can very clearly see the majority of people do not buy a console in order to play its exclusives. That is a common misconception promoted by console war degenerates. And the only reason as to why I specifically said PS4 exclusives over PS5 exclusives is because sales for Returnal plus Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart will be biased towards increased sales, simply due to the lack of games which were released when those games launched.
But what are new games on the Xbox Series X?
Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5, two games that easily outclass most PS5 exclusives with the potential exception of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart.
0. There are no games to get on the Series X that's exclusive, you know what I mean?
Nope, I have no idea what you mean because games like Stalker 2 are releasing fairly soon. Also, no PS5 exclusive is actually truly in need of being a PS5 exclusive right now. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart could be simulated on the PS4. Sure, it wouldn't be using the same technology, but it is possible. We've seen it done before, and Demon Souls along with Returnal sure as hell do not need to be PS5 exclusives. And in all honesty, none of these games are worth buying a console for.
So lastly, the Series X is not a bad console per se, you know what I mean? It's probably going to be good eventually, maybe in a couple of years once the games come out. But right now, there's absolutely no reason to have an Xbox Series X because you can do the Game Pass on the older Xbox.
and some of those games will barely run on the Xbox One as it is. I mean, it really doesn't take a genius to figure this out. Last gen consoles have been struggling to run last gen games for well over 2 years. If you want to play games in 60 FPS right now, you need a current gen console. Hence why people want the Series X and PS5 so badly. If there wasn't no reason to buy a Series X, no one who has an Xbox One would upgrade. But to no one's surprise, there are plenty of reasons to get an Xbox Series X.
You know, and I kind of regret selling my old Xbox and getting the new one. Because sure, the loading times are a little bit faster, but everything else is the same. I can do the same crap on the older Xbox One X that I had.
If you're complaining about the games you are playing not having quote-unquote next-gen upgrades, then that's on the developers, not Microsoft. And this same backwards logic directly applies to the PS5, so it's interesting to me that someone who thinks they aren't a PS4 fanboy can't
keep that same energy.
Now we've finally come to the end of that guy's awful video, which means we have finally come to the end of my video. So with all that being said, please do not forget to do all the things YouTubers love to beg you to do, aka check out my Discord server, follow me on Twitter, as well as like, comment and subscribe. So I'll see you all in the next video.